I'm Eric from the Fitness CPA. Today's video and the sequence of videos and blogs is meant to help you, the fitness owners, through these difficult times. First off, my heart goes out to all the fitness facilities that are closed right now. Can't imagine how difficult this must be. But most importantly, my heart goes out to those who are sick or those who have family members, friends, or loved ones who have been affected by COVID-19. Our heart goes out to you mostly, and that's why we're doing and all making these drastic changes in our lives. First, I want to recommend, if you're a fitness facility and you haven't already closed, please do. It's for the good of the community, and it would be according to the CDC guidelines for social distancing. If you haven't, please seriously consider it and what it means to those, the hospitals, the care workers, and especially those who could become victims of this. Right now, there's a lot of resources out there, and I want you to kind of go out and absorb those. We're going to try to create our own content uniquely from a financial or numbers and government perspective. There's certainly a lot of operational overlap for what to do in this downtime, how to talk to your members, how to retain members, and what it means when you come out of this dark time, but we're going to try to focus on it from our perspective, which may be unique than other concepts or fitness helping concepts, consulting concepts that are out there. And so, obviously we can kind of take a motivational Monday. All our fitness fans love a good motivation Monday post and say that, through adversity, we're going to grow. We're absolutely going to grow. But, absolutely, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that there are going to be some studios, some fitness instructors, some, people who have been lifelong fitness fans who aren't going to make it through the other side of this without, unfortunately, closing their businesses. We hope to prevent that, and we hope to support you through this time that we will see the other side of. But I think right now we need to think about what reality is. Some municipalities have put into a place a 15 or 30-day closure of gyms or recommended the closures due to the social distancing that the CDC recommends, the Centers for Disease Control. Even though these 15 to 30-day moratoriums show a light at the end of the tunnel, we personally don't believe, based on the data that we've seen, that we're going to see anything short of 8 weeks. 8 weeks is the minimum, absolute minimum, that we believe fitness facilities are going to be closed and or drastically affected by this. Our reasoning is really based on what we've heard from this administration and from the CDC, that they're recommending social distancing guidelines of no more than 5 people for at least the next 8 weeks. Also, when we look to Italy and what's happening in China and South Korea, we can also see the same thing happening and the same amount of time taken to flatten the curve. Additionally, once the United States has the number of tests that they need, we're going to see additional individuals test positive. Currently, there's many who are incubating that disease, and it will eventually test positive for them as well. And unfortunately, Americans are a little bit independent, and they're not going to adhere to the social distancing guidelines like the CDC recommends that are enforced, for example, by police in South Korea and Italy. Unfortunately, this 8 weeks, I think we just need to acknowledge this is what's going to be. I think there's a lot of folks who are feeling positive and they're thinking 30 days. And, our essential prediction is that it's going to be at least 8 weeks. I think we could probably count on 12 to 16, but that remains to be seen. We want to help you through this time period in the next couple of weeks. We're going to focus on content from different areas. And of course, it's a developing story. So we reserve the right to change our opinions or facts or, what happens over time and have that develop. This week, I want to talk about cash flow and how to keep it and how to retain it for yourselves. The first thing, the big elephant in the room is, what happens if we don't have enough money? What happens? And cash flow is ultimately what we want to help you preserve here at the Fitness CPA. Cash flow is essentially the money in your bank account and the money that flows out to pay your expenses. If you don't have enough money in the bank to pay your expenses, you get in quite a pickle. You have to borrow it. You have to not pay your bills. You have to wait for a longer time period for more income to come in. And then during that time period, you have more expenses that pile up. Obviously, during a time of closure or when members are doing their own cancellations and not coming in, we're going to see that revenues are going to drop substantially if they haven't already. And then over the coming months, revenues will be smaller than expenses. For many fitness businesses, the reality is that revenues were never much bigger than expenses anyways, or maybe they were slightly above expenses. And so even a 10% or 20% drop in revenues or membership base can drastically affect what our bottom line is and ultimately can destroy or erode our cash flow. So let's talk about these prime areas where we can conserve cash flow. Our recommendation is that you retain as much cash as possible in your business and in your personal lives. Now, when we say cash, we don't actually mean money stuffed underneath a mattress. What we really mean is money in the checking account so that when the time comes, you can pay rent. When the time comes, you can pay payroll. When the time comes, you can pay for your critical expenses that can't go on a credit card. Or if needed, you can pay down a loan or credit card as required by your lender or loan agreement. The biggest expense, the elephant in the room right now, is rent. We're very quickly going to be coming up with resources about how to request a rent abatement from your landlord and what that looks like. We're diligently working on these guidelines, and I promise we'll have them to you in the next day or two. But rent is the biggest one. There is going to be some provision soon from the government that will help move everything a little bit more. But at this time, we're finding that landlords they're taking in information, but they're not granting rent abatement. They're talking about it. It's all very new. They're learning where this thing will go. As we opened up and talked about this realization that it will be 8 or more weeks, the large majority of America, we believe, is still living under a bit of an optimistic viewpoint that this will pass in 15 or 30 days. And I think a lot of these landlords are looking at it from that same perspective, perhaps thinking that, this will be a blip on the radar and people can pay rent. As it becomes more serious over the next week or two, we are predicting that the general, the people who we pay our money to, the lenders, the landlords, the credit card companies, the vendors, everyone is going to be a little bit more understanding as things start to get more serious. And we've had a preview of that. We've seen it happen in Italy. We've seen it happen in China. We've seen it happen in South Korea as the medical systems have become overwhelmed. And so when we're talking about rent abatement, I don't want to preview too much on next week, but suffice to say, the landlord is going to be more responsive to you in the days to come, but we need to ask them now. We need to get our foot in the door. If you haven't paid rent yet for April 1st, please do not. We're recommending you turn off auto pays and you hang tight and you wait until you get that rental abatement request. Even if you don't need an abatement on any of these items that we're going to be talking about, we recommend you take advantage, you engage in the abatement period, and preserve your cash flow so that however long this may last, it may last 6 months, it may last a year. Even if you reopen shortly, your membership base could be hurting for months to come. And so we'll have been glad to take advantage of that abatement period. We'll talk more about that in our next video and next blog post. Loans would be the next one. There will be a provision. Our prediction is that there's going to be an interest in loan abatement supported by the federal government and many state governments so that your small business administration loan, SBA loan, or other loans that you have are going to be able to go through a period of deferral or abatement. And at first, we're just going to look for the initial 1 month, and then we're going to reassess. I should have mentioned the same thing for landlords as well. We're just going for April. I would not ask for anything more than April at this time. More to come in the next video on landlords. But your lenders, your loans, that cash flow can be quite a bit for some of our studios. We have folks who have fitness facilities with $1,000 a month loans, and we have folks with $10,000 a month loans. And it depends on neither which boat you're in, it's relative to you. So if you only have $1,000 a month, that can be a lot of money to you. Even still, if you have a $10,000 a month loan, that's a lot of money to anybody. And so we would recommend taking advantage of this, what's going to be a deferral period. At the very least, turn off your auto pays and wait until that payment is due. Let's talk to lenders and look for deferrals. We're already hearing things back, and we'll have a section about getting lender deferral as well. That'll probably be after landlords. The next section would be credit cards. Credit cards are pretty easy to push off in that you make your minimum payment and you're okay. If you do wish to abate or have an interest-free period, we do believe our prediction is that there will be an interest-free period on almost all credit cards, business and personal, for this strange period of time. And so credit cards, by making that minimum payment, you're going to keep charging up your credit cards with whatever expenses you can, and you're going to retain the cash in your checking account. You may possibly incur interest charges down the road. Please be aware of those, but we believe in this initial 30 to 60 days, there should be some very low interest periods to help people through these difficult times. This isn't just true for businesses. We want you to retain as much cash in your checking account, in your personal checking account as well. So for your personal mortgage, there will be an abatement provision. Most lenders are going to, if you've been affected drastically by closures, by this, if somebody, God forbid, in your family has been affected by COVID-19, there are going to be provisions that easily allow you to put off your mortgage payment. And so we're encouraging everyone to take advantage of these, even if you don't need to. It's good to have more cash in the piggy bank and not need it than need it down the road and not have it. Same thing for your personal credit cards. Don't pay them off in full if you normally would. Certainly sit on and make that minimum payment, have that credit card balance grow, and keep money in your checking account. If you have a car payment, see if you can get that car payment in deferral. And so by adding up these savings over time, we can add up to $5, $10, $15, maybe even $20,000 or more in cash flow savings per month. Again, we're not advocating that you default on any of these obligations. Defaulting could be one of the worst things that could haunt you for years to come. What we're recommending is that you work with each individual group about some type of written or some type of agreement that you are going to defer these payments and that they're okay with that. For your landlord, it needs to be written, at least in email. For your credit card company, for your lenders, they'll probably have something on your account that says as much. A lot is going to change over the next 12 days. And we have to just breathe and take it one day at a time, especially in regards to all of these changes that we're asking you to make. But these particular cash flow items, you might not get the answer that you want today, but by continuing to check back in and by watching our videos and reading our blog for the advice on how to approach these things, we believe that in the next 12 days, you will get approval for rent abatement, you will get approval for loan abatement, you will get an interest-free period on your credit card, you will have a deferral period on your personal mortgage. That is our belief, and it remains to be proven, but we believe the economy is headed in that direction. We're already seeing rent abatement provisions in the city of LA. They have announced that people don't have to pay rent for these first 30 days and that it needs to be paid back over the next 3 months. We're going to see similar provisions or forgiveness periods across time. When we talk about other cash flow items, a lot of folks have payroll now for months that they had been open. Payroll must go out. You need to pay your employees during this difficult time. As much as I would love to retain that cash flow, payroll does still need to be paid to employees and on a timely schedule. We've even seen some folks pay payroll early, and that's very nice of them during these troubled times. What else can you cut? Pretty much everything except insurance at this point. We're really advocating that the bar starts at zero and then you add back those incremental expenses that you have. Now, if you're still operating virtually, we understand there's going to be continued expenses, and that would be not necessarily unique right now, but virtually we don't have the same overhead. We may be bringing in some revenues, we may have some payroll cost, but we still want to start at zero and then add our budget together. Quite literally anything to remove is fair game. We'll have an item or a video later on what it looks like to go through all of your monthly expenses and literally see each one and say, we don't need this, we don't need this, let's remove that. Spoiler alert, you can approach it from your bank statement or you can approach it from your accountant's general ledger. If you're one of our clients, please feel free to meet with us. Drop us an email, drop me a phone call, and we can go through your expense ledger with you one line by one line at a time, as you really should during this crisis. Below this, I'm looking through my notes here, and at the end of the day, our prediction is most businesses will make it through this. Chances are, if you're watching this video, if you've made it this far, if you've listened to me drone on, you're the type of business owner that will make it through to the other side of this. But a lot of folks won't. However, I think with the right optimism, with the right outgoing spirit, with the right set of taking action and not sitting, on the sidelines and thinking, woe is me, that you will make it through this. And we will, as we said at the opening for our, Motivation Thursday post, it's going to, you're going to be better for it. We're all going to be better for it at the end of the day. Stay tuned for our future series. We've got a couple of ideas. One would be rent abatement, how to save yourself from bankruptcy. What about the instructors? A line-by-line expense review, preparing for reopen, and also, but what about now? What do we do right now? Well, I really thank you for watching this. If you got value out of today's content, it would mean an awful lot to us if you could subscribe, like, or comment on today's video or post. We wish you the best. Please stay in touch. We're going to be here to support you through this.